Thank you for taking a moment to view our presentation about installing and configuring VMware vCenter Server Appliance version 7. VMsources Cloud and Infrastructure is a VMware managed services and cloud provider. We have a diverse team of individuals to serve as your first point of contact. All of us are based in the USA, but we serve clients worldwide, wherever there's a need. As critical infrastructure responders, we don't let hurricanes, fires, or pandemics get in our way. It's our job to make sure that your mission-critical systems are online all of the time. I'm John Borheck, Lead Solutions Architect. VMsources still deploys plenty of on-premises systems, but right now our main focus is on migrating legacy VMware deployments to our VMware Cloud Provider Partner Cloud. VMsources VMware Cloud is a fully managed single-tenant solution at about 1/3 the cost of the big cloud. We're not just saying it's less expensive, we're willing to guarantee that it's less expensive and provide a fixed TCO with unlimited usage for the life of your contract. One of the key features of VMsources VMware Cloud is stretch cluster architecture, which automates disaster recovery. Leveraging pre-existing metro area networks between regional core site facilities, we provision an active site and a failover site. In the event of a primary facility failure, all of your compute will fail over to the secondary site automatically. Because we use designated site pairs, everything fails over automatically. IP addresses, routers, virtual machines, everything. VMsources VMware Cloud provides the support you require where and when you need it. For day-to-day management, you'll rely on the VMsources team that you know by name and have come to respect. For critical situations, we have a 24/7 NOC monitoring all aspects of infrastructure and operations. In the unlikely event that neither the VMsources team or NOC can resolve an issue, we also have VMware OEM support backing us up. Let's go ahead and get started installing the VMware vCenter Server Appliance version 7. Here we have the VMware vCenter Server Appliance ISO that we downloaded from VMware. What we're going to do is we're going to right-click on that ISO and we're going to choose Mount. Once the ISO is mounted, we're going to look inside the UI installer, that's user interface. Then we're going to go to Win32, and we're going to look for the installer.exe. Here you see the VMware vCenter Server 7.0 installer. We have options to install, upgrade, migrate, or restore. In this particular demonstration, we're going to do a fresh installation. I'm going to choose Next, accepting the terms of the EULA after I've read it carefully. And now I need to provide a destination for my VMware vCenter Server Appliance. In this case, we're going to be installing it to the ESXi host that we configured in the last video. So I'll specify that host by IP address. I'll give it a username and my favorite top secret password. It's going to ask me about the self-signed certificate on the host. Interesting thing is that the VMware vCenter Server Appliance itself has a CA, referred to as the VMware CA or VMCA, but right now our host has a self-signed certificate. After we install the VMware vCenter Server Appliance and bring our host into the VMware vCenter Server Appliance, the host certificates will be managed by the VMCA, and the issue of self-signed certificates will be moot. But at the moment, I'm going to accept the self-signed certificate. Now, I'm going to give the vCenter Server Appliance VM a name. This is going to be its name in our infrastructure. Following lab conventions, I'm going to call it VCSA 101. And I'm going to specify our favorite top secret password. This is the password for the VCSA operating system, which happens to be VMware Photon, and not the password for VMware SSO or the vCenter server itself. Because this is a lab deployment, we're going to go ahead and go with a tiny deployment size. You see that it's going to have 2 vCPUs and 12 gigs of memory, but it's going to have 415 gigs of storage, which is a little bit more than I provisioned in my lab environment. Therefore, we're going to have to make sure that we choose thin disk mode for installing our VCSA. We should specify an FQDN for our VCSA. This did not used to be optional, but it is in later versions. Going to give it an IP address. Going to put it on our /16 management network. Provide a gateway. DNS server, and click on Next. Okay, we're all ready to go, and I'm going to click on Finish, and we've probably got about 10 or 15 minutes until stage 1 of the VCSA installation is completed. We can see that stage 1 of the installation is complete. We can simply press Continue, or if we want to pick this up at a later point in time, we can browse to the FQDN of our vCenter Server Appliance :5480, or just as a tip, we can also browse to the IP address of our vCenter Server Appliance :5480 to pick this up. We'll click Next. We're going to choose Synchronize Time with ESXi Host, and we're going to make sure to enable SSH access. Now we're going to specify our SSO domain name. For simplicity, we're simply going to specify vSphere.local, and we're going to set our administrator at vSphere.local SSO password. And click Next. Because this is a lab environment, we're going to choose not to join the VMware Customer Experience Improvement Program, and we'll go ahead and click Finish. And OK. Now this next part is also a 10 to 15 minute process, but thanks to the magic of video editing, we're going to be able to compress that down to just a few seconds. Okay, we can see that stage 2 of our VCSA 7 installation is complete, and we'll go ahead and click on Close. And we're going to open Chrome browser and preferentially browse to the FQDN of our VCSA vCenter server. First, we're going to start with the VAMI interface at port 5480, that's :5480. While it is possible to install and use VCSA version 7 on an IP address only, it is strongly recommended to configure and use DNS. When we're connecting to the VAMI interface, we're going to want to use the username root and our favorite top secret password. And here you can see a VAMI that's very similar to the VAMI in version 6.7 and 6.5. I want to point out something very important here. Go to Administration and look at password validity. If you fail to update your password within the validity period or update the validity period, cron jobs will stop running, your log files will eventually fill the root partition of your vCenter server, and it will stop functioning. We are going to go ahead and specify password does not expire, and we can check for an update at this time if we would like to. And it looks like there are no updates available for us at this time. We're going to go ahead and open a new tab. I'm going to do /UI for the HTML5 interface. And the only user configured at this time is administrator at vSphere.local. With our favorite top secret password. Now, before even adding any hosts to the environment, we're going to want to go to the menu, and we're going to go to Administration, and we're going to go to single sign-on configuration. And here under local accounts, we're going to see that we also have passwords expiring every 90 days. It is your choice to either respect this password policy or set the password policy appropriate for your environment. We consider vSphere.local passwords to be service account passwords, and therefore they should not expire. By entering a value of 0, I turn off password expiration for vSphere.local user accounts. Now we're going to go back to hosts and clusters. And the first thing that we have to create is a data center. We're going to call this Lab 101 as per our convention. And inside of the data center Lab 101, we could either add a host directly, or we could first create a cluster. I'm going to go ahead and add our ESXi host directly so I can start building a few more VMs, and then I'll create a cluster later. Adding hosts can either be done by IP address or FQDN. FQDN is by far a preferred alternative. The username is always root when adding hosts to vCenter. Now it's going to tell us about the host's self-signed certificate. Interesting thing is the VCSA, or I should say the platform services component of the VCSA, is actually a CA in and of itself known as the VMware Certificate Authority. Once this host is successfully added to the vCenter, the VMCA will replace the certificates on the ESXi host, thereby making it a component of a CA certificate authority. I don't like lockdown mode. What it does is it puts additional barricades in your way between you and being able to fix whatever problem occurs with your infrastructure. Would much rather see our hosts exist on secure, protected management networks. Nonetheless, some environments may require lockdown mode. We're going to continue with disabled. And it's going to take just a few seconds for the ESXi host to show as available in our infrastructure. And there you have it. The ESXi host is fully joined to our VMware vCenter Server Appliance version 7. We can see the VCSA that we just built actually running on that ESXi host that we just added. And this concludes our demonstration of installing the VMware vCenter Server Appliance version 7. I'd like to thank you for spending the last 15 or so minutes listening to our demonstration on installing the VMware vCenter Server Appliance version 7. My name's John Borheck, and I'm the Lead Solutions Architect at VMsources Group Incorporated. You can call us at 215-764-6442 or email me personally, john@vmsources.com. Please also feel free to check me out on LinkedIn, look at my personal blog, or take a look at some of the other videos on VMsources' YouTube channel.